my name is Adrian. I've been working on product design for the past 8-9 years now. I've worked with both international as well as domestic companies in a variety of different verticals, from finance to NGOs to e-commerce. I actually got into the crypto journey towards December, November of last year. First started with trading and then started looking into sort of developing in crypto. Came across the Terra ecosystem, which I found was a very robust ecosystem. Very low fees, pegged by US Terra, which in terms of a stable coin is one of the most stable out there right now. The Terra ecosystem is growing incredibly quick. And so that's actually one of the reasons why we were thinking of building one of the first play to earn games on Terra. That's an introduction for me. I'll let Vivek and Shubhendu give you theirs.
Thanks, Adrian. Hi, Gaurav. I actually I've been handling marketing for over 10 years now. Marketing with respect to digital marketing and growth hacking has been one of my main things. I've worked for different organizations in the past, some apps, some NGOs, and others. And now I think crypto is a new journey, but I think most of the concepts do apply here in terms of marketing. But I think some of them are very new, and I think just learning and trying to adapt to the different set of rules that are there with respect to crypto and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a good journey as of now. Shubhendu.
Hey Gaurav. Yeah, so I have been into products for close to 11 years, close to a decade, and I have been seeing various verticals of products, from automotive to fashion to e-commerce, food, and currently now in the cryptocurrency world. And I see there is a lot of potential for the internet itself to evolve itself on the blockchain line. And encompassing that, we thought this is a good product to come up with, and that is what motivates us, or motivates me in person, to keep this journey on with Crypto11. So I'm putting all my product marketing experience of the decade into this, and we really look forward to a successful product is where we are seeing this. Yeah, Adrian, I would like you to take this ahead.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So, Gaurav, just to get started, to tell you a little bit more about Crypto11, Crypto11 is going to be one of the first decentralized fantasy sports platforms being built on the Terra ecosystem. Crypto11 is going to allow players to take part in both head-to-head as well as large pool contests. And one of the defining factors we think is going to bring in a lot of people to our platform is the fact that we have very, very low fees. 5% rake fees is generally what we charge. And obviously, being a decentralized platform, we're giving people the opportunity to be a part of the platform and earn a part of that rake fee through staking and liquidity rewards. So looking at the current ecosystem in terms of what a centralized system offers, we found a couple of problems with the current system. One was obviously the exploitation of people's identities, regulatory repercussions, and obviously the main thing is obviously centralization of data. You don't know where that data is coming from, how it's being aggregated, whether the centralized organizations are actually playing with that data or playing with winners. It's been a complaint that has been around the fantasy sports industry for quite a few years now. And so what we're actually doing is we're actually solving that problem, by moving most of those calculations that happen into smart contracts. So we have very rigidly programmed smart contracts that have that essentially handle our betting. It handles the pools, it handles payouts, the contract distribution, and essentially also handles the team formations. So what this does is it takes the job of actually managing that entire thing away from a centralized setup and puts it into the smart contracts, which is one way of ensuring that there aren't very many ways to mess or meddle with the system. We also make sure that we don't take any information from our clients, so we're not taking any physical identity information, whether that involves payments or whether that involves registration with our platform. Ideally, we just expect people to connect a wallet. In this case, it's their Terra wallet, and they would ideally be able to start placing bets and taking part in contests immediately. We also have a fixed supply of our tokens. It's a 420 million supply. And one of the ways that we're trying to reduce volatility on the token price itself is by having a 2% burn of all the tokens that are being redeemed as part of the contests. So from the 5% rake, what we do is we make sure that 40% from that rake fee is burnt on every transaction. And what this does is it keeps a constant check on the supply, thereby ensuring that as long as there is constant buying pressure and constant market participation, that there is an increase in price in the overall grand scheme of things. So one of the big things that we feel that we're doing is on the Terra blockchain right now, there really isn't any access to sports data. So if you're building a financial protocol, a DeFi protocol on the Terra ecosystem, it's very easy to source that financial data, whether it's stock market data, derivatives, or prices of other cryptocurrencies themselves. But one of the things that Terra ecosystem suffers from is the lack of real world sports data, or that can be used by protocols on the chain itself. So one of the things that we're doing is we're working together very closely with Band Protocol and Chainlink to establish decentralized Oracle services that we can use to essentially bring decentralized sports data onto the Terra ecosystem. And what this is going to do is, one, it's going to give people real world access to sports data using these decentralized oracles. We can have personalized real world sports games based on this in terms of the contest that we're looking to form, and insofar as our customers are concerned, it gives them the ability to make sure that the data that they're essentially placing their bets upon is validated data. It's validated by decentralized organizations, and it's not a central process that we're following. I'm just going to stop here, Gaurav, for a few minutes to just give you some time to maybe ask some questions if you have any.
It's good so far. We can move.
Great. So we actually started in 2021 this year. We've completed one round of funding, an angel round, and we're currently doing our seed round of funding. We've actually almost closed our seed round, but we've essentially taken that angel funding and put it into the development of our platform right now. So we have our smart contracts that are being done by an external software organization and from there it will essentially go into an audit. From our side, we've already finished with the Node application. We're actually working currently on the integration between the APKs that we're going to build for the Android and iOS native apps. In terms of our direct competitors, the people that we see as being really direct competitors in the crypto space is one, DeFi11. DeFi11 are an Ethereum-based fantasy sports platform who use a very similar concept to ours. And one of the differentiators between them and us is that they're using platform NFTs to sort of incentivize their users. We have slightly different methods that we're using. In terms of the other competitors in the blockchain space, we're looking at Wager and Sorare. Wager is more a betting platform, sort of a sports book that exists on the Ethereum blockchain, and Sorare, obviously, we all know they're the guys gobbling down, teams and leagues at a tremendous pace. In terms of our indirect competitors, we're looking at DraftKings and FanDuel. Excuse me, one moment, Deepak. I apologize. Sorry. So we're looking at actually DraftKings, FanDuel, and Dream11 as being really our indirect competitors, and that they're more in the fiat space. They're not really in the blockchain space. So DraftKings and FanDuel between themselves control between 80 and 85% of the North American market. And in terms of cricket, Dream11 is right now, absolutely on top. And if we're looking at the Indian market, they're definitely going to be, one of our competitors. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is the fact that we're going to be one of the few, decentralized platforms that's going to offer cricket as a fantasy sport. Not a lot of decentralized platforms right now offering cricket. Most of them do sports books, and most of them do it on North American sports. And then you've got football as well. Going forward, one of the big things that we see ourselves differentiating ourselves from
Can I?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
You have gone through TDeFi website. You're aware of where you're pitching.
We do, Gaurav.
So you've gone through our website, right? Through our portfolio.
Yes.
And so you would know that DeFi11 is incubated by us.
We do, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if you know that, how would you said that they? I mean, you know that it's a project that started in 2020.
We do.
They're older than you in this space. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and you've done your research on DeFi 11 as
We
well.
have, we have,
Yeah,
yes.
so they're giving cricket. I mean, cricket is the primary product, and they've already conducted a few. I mean, a few thousand games on cricket.
So we do notice that the F11 is a product that is targeting cricket in India. But one of the things that we are that we're actually excited about is the fact that nobody is really building on Terra. So they're still an Ethereum-based platform. You still need to
Yeah.
go through that entire process of getting into USDT and we. So one of the things we feel is that on the Terra platform itself right now, we're going to have a huge impact because, like I said, in terms of the ecosystem that's building on Terra, there isn't really a play to earn system. There isn't really a fantasy sports platform. And what we've done is we've used Def11 as sort of a template. So we know that Def11 works. We know that the concept itself works. And what we're doing is taking that same concept and introducing it to the Terra ecosystem.
But um, but the audience of this business is very different from the crypto native audience. So you just can't plan on let's say utilizing that audience for yourself. The reason DeFi 11 is doing well is because they're not cannibalizing, if that's the right word, on the crypto audience. They're bringing fresh audience into this ecosystem and
Yep.
facilitating them through the UX
Yep.
to not indulge into cryptos if they don't want to.
Yep. And so
and
that's
still
one
be
of
able
the
to do fiat.
yeah. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing as well. We are working with on-off
So
ramps.
how does just changing the chain helps you?
So one of the things that we want to do is to introduce on-off ramps. So people are going to be able to not just use, their regular fiat currency to come in. So we are looking at new users, bringing new crypto users onto the platform. That is one of the things we're doing. But obviously also in terms of maybe integrating other stable coins as well. So the ability to use not just ecosystem coins to be able to place, contest bets on our platform, but also maybe through Orion and through some of the other protocols that are being built on Terra, being able to use other stable coins on our platform as well.
Okay, but all of these things, I'm sure you do understand that very crypto native utilities. You'd
So most of this will
yeah,
be
we'll talk about all of this later. Let's move to the
sure.
presentation. Yeah.
Sure. So like we said, some of the things that we feel are going to differentiate from our audience is obviously decentralized oracles, the fact that we're using decentralized data and sourcing it from multiple different sources. The second thing is obviously the fact that we're going to be using on-off ramps to be able to like I said, onboard a lot more non-crypto native users into our platform. We're also going to be giving distributing this through native applications. So iOS and Android is going to be the applications of choice, which means that we're giving people a much easier interface to be able to interact with our platform with. Also, in terms of the staking and liquidity providers, we're making sure that the rake fee that we're collecting is going directly to our stakers and liquidity providers. So essentially 50% of our rake fee, the 5% rake fee, is being divided between our stakers and liquidity providers. In that 25% goes to our stakers and 25% goes to our liquidity providers. So we're incentivizing both places. In terms of social retention, obviously, like I said, we're going to have a lot of free contests. We're going to have essentially a play to earn where you can come in, play for free, and then have the ability to earn CRLL just by playing for free. So once you're able to do that, then you have a little bit of money. We're also planning to, like I said, once you stake your funds, you earn your rewards, get your rewards, and then come in and use those rewards to play. We feel that these are going to be huge factors in one, bringing people onto our platform, and in two, ensuring that they stay over the long term as well. Obviously, in terms of market size, there is a huge market that fantasy sports can bring to cryptocurrency. The last year saw 20 billion in revenue for most fantasy sports industries, and I don't have to tell you that's just looking to grow. So we're actually looking at a small slice of that. We're looking at a serviceable market of 200 million in our first year. We have a few marketing strategies that will help us to achieve that, and I'll leave to Vivek in a little while. In terms of our tokenomics, where we are right now is in our seed round. We've raised a partial amount in our seed round. We're actually about 200,000 short on the 500,000 figure that we have on our seed round. The private round is what we're offering next before the public round. We see the public round being offered somewhere around November and December, which is when we're looking at the platform being launched. December 15th is our platform launch. Just further going into our tokenomics and the token distribution. The way that we're doing it is we've got a gamified airdrop here that's essentially about 18.8%. This is going to be delivered over a 36-month period. This gamified airdrop is going to depend a lot on tasks that people are going to be expected to, let's say, take part in order for them to qualify themselves for these airdrops. So the task could involve one, obviously holding a certain amount of Luna. The second would be, let's say, to take part in staking and liquidity programs, as well as maybe be part of certain amount of contests. We've also had one whitelisting round where we've essentially done a giveaway of 5 million tokens. That's about 1.19% of our token supply, and we've allocated 17.5% to essentially angel seed and private round. 7.5% is going to our public sale, out of which so let me go back a step. The private round, angel round, and seed round essentially have a 10% on Genesis with a 6-month daily linear. What we believe is that this is going to give people the opportunity to not just take their money, but not do it in one huge step. So that's the idea behind going with a daily linear setup. In terms of the public sale and the IDO, we've already got one of our platforms on board for the IDO. So that's one of the reasons that this is actually a lot more defined than this. We have allocated a certain amount to the public sale, but we've not particularly settled on the exact percentages right now. We're still working with teams within Terra to decide these percentages. In terms of the remaining tokenomics, most of the community and LP incentives will be released over a 24-month daily linear, and we're going to be using this to incentivize our LP and community members as well. We have a 9% that's locked up in marketing that has a 2-month cliff. Advisors have a 4-month cliff, and the team has a 6-month cliff. And these are all once the cliffs are done over a 9, 12, and 18-month linear schedule. In terms of liquidity, we're opening with, we have a 5% allocation, but we're opening with 40% of that 5% allocation for liquidity. So in terms of our initial circulating supply, we're looking at approximately 5% of our total tokens being released in the initial circulating supply. I'll just stop for some questions, Gaurav, in case there are
any. Who are the investors so far?
So the investors so far, our angel round was filled by Skyvision Capital as well as a couple of private investors. The second round, the seed round, is currently being filled by OIG, Oracle Investment Group, and I believe it's Dragonfly Cap. Let me just confirm that with you.
And you seem pretty deeply plugged into Terra. Is there some grant or some arrangements between you and Terra?
So initially there weren't really any arrangements between us and Terra, but now that we've started building on Terra, we're trying to access their Terra Ecosystem Growth Fund. So that's going to take care of essentially the auditing and things like that that we would need to do on our smart contracts. But the reason actually we're building on Terra is because obviously, like we said, the Terra ecosystem is very, very small right now in terms of the number of applications that are building there. It isn't really a lot. And in terms of games, there really aren't any games in that ecosystem itself. It's one of the fastest growing ecosystems, over the last 6 to 8 months. It's experienced tremendous growth. USD, the stable coin for US Terra, is absolutely breaking records right now. It reached 3 billion TVL over a very short period of time, and they're expecting to push that to 10 billion by the end of this year. So there is tremendous amount of growth in the Terra ecosystem, which is one of the reasons we targeted them. Obviously, also it came down to like the fees that they're charging. It came down to the speed of the networks itself. So in those terms, we were very, very happy to start building on Terra.
Cool.
So in terms of our revenue model, like I mentioned, most of our revenue comes from the rake, the 5% rake that we're collecting. And that rake is essentially going to our stakers and liquidity providers, 25% each. What we're doing is we're taking the remaining 50%, burning 40% of that, and the balance of 10% that remains from that rake, 8% comes to the development fund for further development of the platform, and 2% is being allocated to a charity protocol called Angel Protocol. Angel Protocol essentially deals with NGOs that are tied to the World Health Organization's health goals. So 2% essentially goes to them. In terms of the development, like I said, we are currently in the process of developing out our APKs. The Android APK should be ready in about 2 weeks' time. We've already done the integrations. Most of the integrations are already done with the sports APIs. The current integrations that we have planned are for the actual APKs to integrate with the backend, as well as for the smart contract integration. The smart contract integration is probably going to take another 6 weeks minimum before we have that integration done. But we expect to basically have testnet launched hopefully by either the middle or the end of October. Any other questions, Gaurav?
What are your user acquisition plans? How would you acquire users?
I'll leave that to Vivek.
Yeah, so I think we essentially have figured out what is our core audience. Our core audience is basically the fantasy users, and we know that right now we are tackling the crypto space particularly. So we initially did a survey to basically understand what kind of what's the interest level among users in terms of a crypto app with respect to fantasy sports. And the response has been really great, to be very frank with you. The survey was done, between an audience of 18 to 35, and 18 to 29 audience gave a thumping yes to a app that is basically built on blockchain for fantasy. And I think from that, what we have done is, in terms of our back plan, we have basically looked at all the keywords that we think are essential for the for building the website itself. We know that if we target the right keywords and ensure that we have a proper structured website and things on those lines, we should be able to pull in a lot of organic traffic, because we will be definitely using a lot of sports data that will be available for consumption for the user. So that's very essential for ensuring that our website has weightage and it has all the necessary things required. Apart from that, I think we are also working with influencers. We are working with a lot of marketing agencies to try and see how we can identify the gap in terms of let's say with respect to content, or with respect to identifying the right influencer and things like that. So we are going through that process with them as of now. And apart from this, I think one more other thing that we have also tried to do is gamify our whole staking experience. So what we are trying to do is we are essentially trying to market the fact that people can come onto the app, and basically when they get into the staking process, they can each staking pool will basically be given a club name, so that the person with the highest number of tokens ends up owning a club. So that kind of an experience. And then you have people who basically join those clubs, and we gamify the experience in terms of how we want these users to experience the app, or get the tokens over a period of time, even in terms of airdrops and things like that. So I think that plan is also in place. We are trying to see how we can essentially fit that into this whole system. Apart from all this, we are also trying to see how we can associate with players who are in the current field, which is either cricket, football, to try and see if we can get them as ambassadors.
Vivek, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Will, because we are already short on time. We finished our limits, but I'll sort of extend it for a few let's say expectations of a few precise answers. What are the kind of numbers you're looking at in the next? I mean, when are you looking to launch this entirely? At least the beta.
Beta, I think, would be around
December.
December, yeah.
So testnet is going to be October, and then we're looking at mainnet by December. That includes the platform launch as well.
Testnet and mainnet, okay. Is it for the Oracle?
No, so all our smart contracts are going to be done. I mean, all the the pools and everything, like all that is going to be done by smart contracts. So essentially, moving all that onto testnet and mainnet, as well as the token, minting, the distribution, all that. Essentially, we need all that done before we can release our app.
Mm-hmm. So you're expecting that by December?
Yes.
So I mean, again, I'm trying to collate data from DeFi 11 and trying to sort of identify your position in respect to that. I'm sorry if it doesn't matches entirely, and you can always point me out on that.
Sure.
So you're not doing an alpha without a token.
We're not. We don't want to. So essentially, the problem that we're looking to solve is that decentralization process. Then, if the thing is that if we're going to release an alpha without that decentralization process, what's going to make us different from, let's say, a Dream11 or any other platform out there? If we're only doing transactions on chain, that really doesn't make us decentralized. So one of the things that we want to do is to ensure the contract rules around betting, around the pools, around all that is being handled directly by the contracts and not by us as an entity. We also want the data that we're bringing into the system to be decentralized as well.
Got it. So December, your beta. Can you give me a projected, user acquisition assumption?
So what we're doing is we're looking at approximately 60,000 users taking part in our testnet program. We've already registered about 8,000 testnet registrants already, and this is just from a very organic campaign that we ran on Twitter. Like I said, in terms of tying up with our VCs as well, we're working obviously directly with Skyvision, OIG, who have a huge network to sort of work with AMAs and YouTube content. We're also, like I said, targeting a few marketing agencies that we're looking at. So we're ideally looking at approximately 60,000 users for our mainnet launch.
60,000.
Yes.
Okay. And then in the next year?
I'll let Gatti sort of take that.
I think we've not looked at the next year numbers yet. We'll have to do that.
Makes sense. What would you be expecting from TDeFi if we come together?
So I think what we'd probably expect from TDeFi is one, access to an investment network, two, access to marketing and go-to-market strategies. That because we're trying to work with as many people as possible to work on go-to-market, because obviously there are a lot of different ideas that we'd like to get before we come up with a plan. And obviously working with us over the next maybe 2-3 years as long-term investors, we're looking at investors that want to come on board over the long term. We're not looking at particularly investors that are coming in to, let's say, get out over the next year. So all of the investors and the VCs that we've spoken with, that's sort of the approach that we're taking right now. So even the VCs that we have signed on board are essentially coming on board with that, with that expectation in mind.
Just that.
Yes, Gaurav.
I'm sorry to express, and I know this has been streamed live, but we are very honest in expressing ourselves. That's not our best strength, although it's still so much better than 99% of advisory and other similar firms. But again, we don't take pride in claiming our skills in fundraise. Marketing to some extent, yes, but again, as an advisor, we can only connect you to a few. We can only suggest you with to work or not work with all those who come knocking at your doors, or maybe to be able to connect you to a few good ones. Go to market somehow has been our proven strength for at least in crypto. So that's one big strength we usually boast about. Nonetheless, our primary strength is still the ecosystem, the TDeFi ecosystem internally, which is a hyper retail focused boutique advisory firm. Yes, we're there for a lifetime, not just a year or two. We've never sold a single token of most of the projects of our last cohorts that have been extremely successful. That talks a lot about our aims and ambitions with our incubated projects. More than that, our second biggest strength, which used to be our biggest strength, only superseded by the ecosystem thing, is tokens and markets, because you're going to be a token and would be dealing with publicly traded markets. That's something we do best. And you can look at the recent launches that would talk about it. If you're not looking contributions on those sides, primarily, I don't think will be an absolute fit. And being a boutique firm, and by God's grace, with the recent hackathons and stuff, even before the hackathons, we had a wait list of 160 projects. Now, grace of God, we have more than 200. So we only work with those projects where we think we'll be able to contribute and create value with our engagement. We're not hogging on to create a big list of incubated companies. So you'll have to think about that primarily. Yes, we've been fortunate enough to have attention from good investors. Most of our projects have ended up completing their fundraise even through the tiny crypto winter we had in the last 3 months. So that works, but it's not our primary skills.
Absolutely. And
nonetheless,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, Gaurav.
Nonetheless, these are detailed discussions that would come later on. But overall, it looks like a good project. Seems like you guys know what you're doing. I still have a few team-related questions and engagement-related questions, but we're short on time. We're done with. We're actually done
and
with the timelines.
We'd like to thank you for extending that time as well, Gaurav. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for actually being a part of that extension. Maybe, Summer. Let's kill this